We've come to Newcastle to speak to Paddy Conroy. The Conroys are probably the city's most infamous family. During the 80s and 90s, they were pretty much untouchable in this city. And they were allegedly involved in kidnap, torture, and they've also been accused of several high-profile murders. But in fairness, they've not been convicted of any. And Paddy feels very strongly about allegations made against him by people in trials. And basically, he wants to have his say and, you know, clear his name.
They called my dad Mr Newcastle. That's what the folk used to call him back in the 60s and 70s. He robbed all the post offices, robbed all the stately homes. He was a fighter as well. He was a hard man as well, apart from being a villain. But apart from that, he was a decent fella, you know.
Yeah. So what was the police view of him? How did they think of him? How did they treat him?
Police were through our door every week for one reason or the other. And my dad was always fighting with them. Every week he was fighting with them. One cop I was getting knocked out in one place over all his life. That's what relationship we had with the police like. And
the police, did they sort of tarnish you all with the same brush and give the old family grief?
Yeah.
Because of your father?
We grew up as kids with our father having to put up with them coming through the fucking door, and twice I woke up one night and they were climbing over my bed. They'd put a ladder out of the back window and climbed through my bedroom window. They were looking for Ronnie Biggs, he'd escaped. And that's what they were doing that night. They didn't even knock, and they were just coming in when he was asleep, when he was drunk, and hoping to get him before he woke up, you know what I mean? To stop the fighting. But every time they raided the house, coppers were getting took away in ambulances and he was getting carried away.
Paddy was getting a reputation as a young man who could handle himself and was offered a job working on the doors in Newcastle.
I think the first time I was on a door when I was about 16 or 17, when I just was with my dad, and we called in that 69 club, and Big Billy and Paddy were running it, and my dad knew Paddy. And when he went for a drink with him, opened the club, Billy and Paddy, they just stuck me on the door, you know what I mean, that night. That was my first night on a door when I was just about 17. Billy was a big ex-professional boxer of his day who nobody could touch in a fight or during his period. You know, he could fight for fun. He wasn't a villain. He wasn't a bad man. He was just sort of a hard man. And he's got a lot of respect, Billy, in the North East.
Paddy, Wheelers, gets it, you know. Nice lad, little bit of a jumpy jack and got a bit cheeky now and again, you know. But all right, you know. Well known, very well known, respected, you know. Hard man.
Another well-known face from Newcastle's club scene was Kenny Panda Anderson, who was one of the North East's criminal elite. He was a founding member of the Geordie Mafia and has a history of convictions stretching back more than 50 years. In 1969, the Krays came to Newcastle to discuss the purchase of some gaming machines. When they were asked to leave the nightclub they were in, Panda was given £2,000 to give to the Krays by the frightened club owner once he realised his mistake. Panda didn't rate them at all and put it straight into his pocket.
It wouldn't last a weekend, not a weekend. They could only fight. I'm not in my punks, I did, I met them twice and he was half looking, one he was looking like a Rod's looking at. I was going, what's the matter with you looking at you? Do you know what you're looking at? I was only 19 on my tours from army. They never bothered me at all. Freddie Foreman, different man, but he got a different style. They weren't even gangsters, man, that good people like Joy Pyle and people like that weren't actually on the film, or Freddie never on the film, but they helped them out when they were in trouble. They couldn't do nothing else. When they come to Newcastle, they were double lucky. They were double, but they were sat quiet as could be.
The Krays had plenty to fear in Newcastle, As well as the Conroys, there were two other major crime families in the city, the Sayers and the Harrisons. Both had a mafia-type reputation for blackmail, robbery and drug dealing, and both had large families who meted out violence. They all lived and fought each other on the streets of the West End. Paddy Conroy first met John Henry Sayers on the door of a nightclub called Wheeler's.
No, when I was working at Wheeler's, my brother Lenny asked us to try and get fucking John Sayers a job on the fucking door. I don't really know John Sayers. And I couldn't be fucked on him with the door on me, but my brother Lenny fucking pestered us. So I asked if we can stick him on the door. So they said they would try him, Billy and Paddy. And I think it was the first night. I was fighting with the gates at lads. There was a few of them. And I ended up on my back and they were on top of us. They were coming in and walking ourselves all the time. And when I was doing on my back with them on top of us, the doorman come up and he says, "How are lads, 1-on-1. You know, I'm on my back fighting with them, getting me fucking head punched in. And that's what that was his help. How are lads, 1-on-1. And that was his finish after that, like. He was gone a week later. Not for anything other than he was shit as a fucking doorman.
Slowly the violence escalated. One night the Conroys' other rivals, the Harrisons, petrol bombed a local house while a young girl and a child were inside. For Paddy, this was a step too far.
But the fire engines have come through it and shot up the street next to the pub. Two of them with the lights flashing and sirens going. Well, that's where we lived in them 3 streets. So I says to him, "Get out, see where them fire engines is gone, just to make sure, because one of those." So he had to walk with the pub along to the street, and he come back and he says, "House is on fire, kid's bedroom, and the horrors have just put a petrol bomb through it. Little girl's been armed." But apart from that, they'd put the fire out and everybody was all right. But the horrors had done it. And in Moore area, there'd always been rules, unwritten rules, like you didn't do them sort of strokes, petrol bomb people's houses, from old. So I went berserk. You know, they shouldn't be doing it. So I thought, all right, I'll catch them, or next time I see them, I'm gonna fucking pull them.
The Harrisons and the Conroys eventually agreed to meet and have a straightener. A one-on-one fight between family members to settle the bad blood.
They wanted to arrange a fight, a proper fight, the way you do. So I said, "They come to see me then." So I said, "No bother." The father did. But they wanted to fight one of my nephews and my brother. So we arranged a fight between one of my nephews and one of their lot, and my brother with one of their lot, just to keep it right. But and it was supposed to be just me and the dad there when the fight was happening. But what had happened was my brother kind of fucking fight, and they're both the best fighter to fight him, you know what I mean? He's never had a fight in his fucking my life all, and he's not known for being a fighter. He's not like the rest of it. So he got chinned. He got put on his back, to be honest. But he's fighting a big young fella, you know what I mean? He's a lot older than him. But you kind of didn't know how to put it like. But when he was doing, he started kicking him, this fella. And I heard, "Well, Lenny, I've had enough." So I thought, right, I'll stop now. And he didn't. He put him again. And Lenny said, "I've had enough." And I heard him say he'd had enough a few times. I couldn't help myself. But it's got in. So I've done him. But there was a load of them hid behind the bushes anyway. It wasn't just the dad there. They had another 5 hid behind the bushes, and they come out and I got hit with bricks and got stuck into them, like. I made them run away, but they wounded us with bricks and that before they got away. Run off. That's what happened with the horrors. And then after, well, you know, it's led on to fucking all that shit.
Well, the Conroys are known all over, aren't they? You know, they've got a name like the Harrisons, the Sears, they've all got where it's, ooh, you know, people get a bit worried, you know what I mean? But I thought, like I say, I think people who can handle themselves respect other people that can't handle themselves. I mean, it's not that would put any of the other ones down. It's just to be like it. If I was a hard man and I went to meet another hard man, we would get on straight away. That's just the way it is, you know. The proper man is somebody saying, "Yeah, come on, I'll fight you." You know what I mean? And stand toe to toe. And when you've when it's finished, shake hands. You know, that's what I've always done. I've always picked people up, you know, and made sure they're all right. Didn't hold a grudge or nothing, you know, and I don't think there's many people held a grudge against me because it's always been their fault mainly.
This is the just off Westmoreland Road in the west end of Newcastle, which the Conroy family, Lenny Conroy, Paddy's father, and Paddy and his brothers controlled for since the 1960s really, and their name still commands respect in these areas.